Welcome, traveller. Tonight you'll walk a road carved through centuries, a road of silk and wind, of shadow and fire. This is not a history lesson, and yet much of it is true. What you're about to experience is a work of historical fiction, a tale born from imagination, but rooted deeply in the real rhythms, cultures, and legends of the ancient Silk Road. Every city, every custom, every whisper of wind has been shaped with care, drawn from history, illuminated through storytelling, and wrapped in a sense of wonder. So light your lantern, sharpen your senses, and step forward with an open heart, because the road ahead will change you. This is the story of Afshin, a traveller, a seeker, a keeper of forgotten tales. And it all begins with silence. Under a vast velvet sky stitched with stars, the desert lies in a silent, endless sleep. The cool night air carries a faint whisper, the murmur of the earth breathing beneath its ancient golden blanket. Time slows here. Each grain of sand holds a memory, each breeze a voice from a forgotten age. Above, constellations hang like lanterns, glowing with stories told by travellers long past. Astronomers, wanderers, seekers, who walked these same lands beneath these same stars. Centuries before your first breath, wrapped tightly in thick wool and coarse canvas, you awaken slowly. The familiar weight of the fabric presses into your skin, rough but grounding, a comfort against the desert's lingering chill. All around you, the caravan lies in its gentle stillness, clustered like ships on a quiet sea of sand. 24 camels kneel nearby, their breath rising in soft clouds. Wooden crates and woven bundles lie at their feet, filled with treasures gathered across empires. Silk dyed in the deep reds of Xi'an, spices sharp as fire, porcelain thin as eggshell, and gems that catch the light like stars caught in stone. The embers of last night's fire glow faintly, their smoke winding upward like a fading dream. The scent of ash and dry earth hangs in the still air. One camel shifts, its bell chiming softly. Somewhere, the dunes whisper as they move, reshaped by the breath of the wind. It is a quiet too deep for cities, a silence born from centuries. Your name is Afshin. You are a trader, a storyteller, a thread woven into the vast, ever-changing tapestry of the Silk Road. This road is more than a route. It is a living artery, a path etched across the world by generations of footsteps. From the shores of Cathay to the markets of Antioch, it winds through mountains, deserts, and cities built from dust and ambition. Along it pass goods and gold, but also languages, beliefs, songs, and dreams. It is the spine of empires, the soul of connection. You do not rise with haste, not here. The hour before dawn is sacred, a breath between night and day, a moment that belongs to no one, yet gives something to all. You listen before moving. You breathe before speaking. In this vast place, the desert does not reward the hurried. You push back the blanket and step barefoot into the sand. It is cold and fine, shaped by night winds. It cradles your feet like an old friend. The horizon begins to change, colours bleeding across the sky. Soft rose, violet, indigo, fading into gold. Far to the east, The mountains rise like jagged guardians, their silhouettes ancient and unyielding. They have watched over this path since long before your name was ever spoken. You move toward the heart of camp. The fire waits. You kneel and coax it gently to life, your hands skilled, your motions quiet. Sparks leap, dancing into the morning. You place a copper pot over the flame, worn dark from 100 mornings just like this. Soon, the scent of boiling water mingles with crushed cardamom and clove. It fills the space between you and the sky, warm and earthy. This is not just tea, it is memory. It is ritual, a link to those who came before and those still to come. You sip slowly, letting the heat travel through you. It soothes your throat, your chest, your spirit. You are still, and in this stillness, the world expands. You feel the road beneath you, feel its long history humming under your feet. You are not alone. A camel groans, deep and low, as if speaking to the morning. Another traveller stretches, the soft rustle of cloth blending into the breeze. The camp begins to wake, not with clamour, but with quiet purpose. There is no rush. The road is long. Each day is a verse in a song that began before you and will continue long after you are gone. From the east, a breeze carries a tune, a melody without words, passed down from lips that no longer speak, remembered in the bones of travellers and the swaying of saddles. It settles on your shoulders, light as silk, heavy with memory. You close your eyes, let it pass through you. It is not just music, it is a welcome, a reminder, a call. And now the sun rises. The first golden light spills over the dunes, casting the desert in shifting hues of copper and flame. Shadows stretch long and thin across the sand, moving slowly like dancers finding their place. The mountains catch the light, glowing as if lit from within. Everything feels alive. Everything feels old. You draw a breath and hold it. You are here. You are part of this. The road awaits. It always does. And so, with the sun warming your back and your pack secured beside you, you begin again. Chapter 1. The Salt Caravan. The sun climbs slowly, warming the pale sky with soft golden light. Dunes stretch endlessly in every direction, their ridges sharp like the spines of sleeping beasts. The desert is vast, but not empty. Beneath its silence lies purpose. Rhythms older than time, set in motion by wind, stone, and footsteps. You lead your camel by its reins, its hooves pressing soft prints into the sand. The caravan has begun its march, a slow, deliberate procession of merchants and animals, bound together by shared distance and dust. Each step forward is another beat in the long song of the road. Your companion, an older trader named Reza, walks beside you. His face is carved by sun and wind, his beard threaded with silver. He carries salt, thick slabs of it, harvested from dry lake beds to the west and wrapped tightly in wool. Salt is no mere seasoning here. It is currency, sacred and essential. In Kashgar, a single slab might buy a mule. In Aleppo, it could buy silk. The world runs on salt and stories, Reza often says. You believe him. The caravan's path is marked by cairns, stacks of stone left by travellers, waypoints in the sea of shifting sands. They are prayers in rock, left for those who follow. Each one carries a message, even if unread. You are not alone. As the morning deepens, you pass a lone fig tree, its roots clutching the edge of a dry wadi. A miracle of green in a world of beige. Beneath it lies a stone slab, carved with script worn smooth by time. A marker of a forgotten kingdom, once part of a world-spanning empire. Now nothing more than dust and tale. You pause a moment, pressing your hand to the faded words. You do not know the language, but the feeling is enough. You move on. By midday, the air shimmers. Heat rises in waves. The caravan tightens, drawing close, sheltering under rough-spun cloth stretched across poles. Reza offers you dates wrapped in cloth, their sweetness preserved by desert sun. You share a gourd of goat's milk, still cool from a leather skin. No feast, but enough. Always enough. In the distance, a black speck grows. Another caravan. You raise your hand and others follow. It is custom. No matter where one comes from, all are kin on the road. As the groups draw near, greetings rise in many tongues. Persian, Turkic, Arabic, and one that sounds like song. Traders exchange nods, gestures, sometimes news. The other caravan carries indigo dye and carved ivory from the far south. They are bound for Samarkand. You speak briefly with a woman whose eyes are lined with coal and whose robe bears symbols of the Kushan. Her voice low, her accent strange, her presence unforgettable. She gifts you a blue bead for protection, she says. You accept it with both hands. As the two groups part, Reza speaks softly. Even strangers on this road may change your journey. You nod. It is the way of the Silk Road, a path made not just of trade, but of transformation. Later, the wind shifts. A breeze from the northeast kicks sand into the air. You wrap your keffiyeh tightly across your mouth and nose. The camels groan, heads low. The caravan slows. But you do not stop. You press forward, together, through a veil of dust and sun. The world becomes sound and motion. Bells, hooves, muffled voices. At last, you crest a ridge, and below lies the oasis, a green wound in the earth, fringed with date palms and mud brick shelters, a place of water and rest. The call goes out, and the caravan quickens. You reach the edge of the oasis and kneel. The water is cool, clean, flowing through shallow channels carved by hand long ago. You wash your face. It feels like rebirth. Around you, camels are unburdened. Traders stretch. Children laugh. A moment of peace at the heart of the journey. By evening, fires glow beneath the palms. Bread bakes on hot stones. Laughter rises with the smoke. Someone begins a tale. A story of a serpent king who sleeps beneath the Taklamakan. Guarding a lost city made of gold and jade. You listen, cup in hand, the tea dark and sweet. Beside you, Reza nods along, eyes glinting. Above, the stars return. They shine with the same quiet wisdom as before. But now, they seem closer, as though they've drawn near to listen. You lie back in the sand, the scent of fire and spice around you. And for a moment, you are suspended between two worlds. the one behind and the one ahead. Tomorrow, you will leave this place. Tomorrow, the road will call again. But tonight, you rest, and the Silk Road rests with you. As the embers of the fire dim to soft, glowing coals, the desert night holds its breath. The tales of serpent kings and lost cities hang in the air like fragrant smoke, wrapping the camp in a timeless embrace. Around you, shadows play gently among the palms, and the stars above seem to lean closer, silent witnesses to the stories told beneath their eternal watch. The world feels suspended between moments, caught in the delicate pause where yesterday's journey melts into tomorrow's promise. The scent of tea, spice, and burning wood lingers, mingling with the cool night breeze that hums softly through the dunes. Slowly, the night begins to yield to dawn's first tender touch. The horizon blushes with pale light, brushing the sky with hints of gold and rose. From this quiet cusp, the caravan stirs. Sleeping forms stretch and shift. Camels rouse with gentle groans, and the rhythm of life resumes, steady and sure. Chapter 2. The Scribe from Bukhara. Dawn breaks gently over the oasis. The first light touches the palms and the worn tents, painting them in soft hues of gold and sand. The fires are low now, reduced to glowing coals. Smoke curls upward in thin, sleepy trails. A breeze stirs the leaves, carrying with it the smell of ash, water, and dates. You rise with the others, stretching the stiffness from your limbs. Camels grumble and shift as packs are secured. Reza moves with quiet purpose, wrapping his robe and humming a tune older than language. There is no command to move, no bell to ring, but the rhythm of the road is known to all who walk it. The caravan begins to form like a tide turning once more toward the open sea. As the sun climbs, you fall into step beside a newcomer, a man cloaked in fine robes of deep blue and white, his turban neatly wound, his beard carefully trimmed. His eyes are dark and sharp, and he walks with the steady ease of someone who has crossed many lands. A scribe from Bukhara, he says. His name is Idris. He carries no crates of goods, no bundles of wares. Instead, he has scrolls, wrapped in oiled cloth, tucked carefully into a wooden case strapped across his back. Stories, he says. Maps, histories, poems, and prayers. I trade in memory, he tells you. Ink lasts longer than silver. You speak with him as the hours pass. He recites verses in Persian, then Arabic, then a bit of Sanskrit, just to hear how the words fall in the dry air. He tells of libraries filled with golden manuscripts, of scholars who debate by lantern light, of markets where books are worth more than gold. His voice is calm, rich with reverence. Reza listens too, though he mostly nods. Stories are light, he says once, but salt feeds the body. Don't forget that. At noon, you stop at a crumbled watchtower, a relic from when a forgotten dynasty ruled these sands. Its bricks are sun-baked and cracked, its top half broken, the rest standing like a tooth worn by time. Idris climbs partway up and unrolls a map, anchoring its corners with stones. The parchment is filled with lines and names, some written, some scratched out, some merely guessed. He traces a route with his finger. Here, he says, we are walking across the breadth of the world. Others gather, curious. A boy from the southern hills points at the edge of the map. What's beyond this? Everything, Idris replies. The wind picks up in the afternoon. Not a storm, but enough to lift the sand in low, dancing ribbons. You cover your face and keep your head down. Step by step you push forward. The dunes grow taller. The world narrows to what you can see and hear. Camel hooves, the rustle of cloth, the hiss of sand. By late afternoon, the wind dies down. The sky turns pale again, and the caravan finds a flat stretch to rest. Camp is set with practiced ease. A circle of stones, a new fire kindled. The air cools quickly. You gather near Idris, who now sits with his scrolls unfurled around him, each weighed down by smooth rocks. He opens one, an old text in Kufic script. This was copied by candlelight in Baghdad, before the fire, he says softly, before the Mongols. His fingers brush the edge of the parchment with reverence. Words endure what cities. He speaks of a prince of Samarkand who disguised himself as a beggar to walk the bazaar without guards, listening to his people. He tells of a poet who wandered so far east he forgot the shape of his homeland and began to dream in another tongue. He tells of caravans swallowed by the desert and of one man who walked alone from Dunhuang to Damascus and lived to write his tale. The stories wrap around the camp like warm cloth. Even the camels seem to listen. You glance upward. The sky is deepening, stars preparing to wake. Reza pours hot tea, handing you a clay cup. The scribe sits in the firelight, face aglow, as he writes something into a new scroll. His quill moves with quiet certainty. You lean back on your elbows, letting the heat of the earth press into your spine. The journey is long, and there is more road ahead than behind. But tonight, under the open sky, you feel the weight of time not as a burden, but as a gift. You close your eyes and listen to the fire crackle, to Idris writing, to the wind whispering through the dunes like a lullaby. Tomorrow you will rise again, but tonight you dream among scrolls and stars. Chapter 3. The Caravanserai. You reach the gates just before dusk. Set against the arid plain, the caravanserai rises from the earth like a fortress of memory. Its walls are thick and sun-scorched, made from stone and clay packed tight by the hands of labourers long gone. Centuries old, it has welcomed emperors and thieves, monks and warriors. All who follow the road must in time pass through such places. Here, within these walls, the world gathers. The gates open with effort, old wood groaning beneath iron bands. Inside, the courtyard bustles with life. Camels kneel in rows, their loads half unpacked. Smoke curls from a dozen fires. Merchants shout greetings in many tongues: Arabic, Persian, Mongolic, and a language you cannot name. In the corners, coins clink. Children run past, bare feet slapping on stone. A man strums a stringed instrument beneath a fig tree, growing against a crumbling wall. The air is thick with scent. Roasted lamb, turmeric, ash, horse sweat, sandalwood. After days beneath the sun, the sheer density of humanity overwhelms your senses. But it is welcome, warm, familiar. You are given a corner stall along the north wall, between Reza and a group of Kashmiri weavers. You unload your wares with care, wrapping open slightly to reveal silk, salt, beads, tea. A few onlookers linger, gauging quality. The older ones nod. They can tell by scent and fold what has value. A steward approaches, an older man in layered robes, bearing the insignia of the local Khan. He offers water, directs you to the baths, and records your presence in a worn ledger. Razor signs with a firm hand, you with a practiced one. It is important to be remembered. Later, you sit beneath an archway, sipping broth from a clay bowl. Across the courtyard, Idris is engaged in quiet conversation with a man dressed in yellow robes, likely a monk from Donghuang. Their tones are low, serious. They pass between them a palm leaf manuscript, brittle and laced with red ink. To your left, a woman sharpens a blade. Her eyes flick briefly to yours. Not hostile, just watchful. Every caravan bears its protectors. Silent figures who sleep with one eye open. It is thanks to them that most of you arrive alive. As night falls, music begins. A trio of travelers from Anatolia beat frame drums, while a reed flute sings low, mournful notes. The circle forms. Dancers enter, cloaked in flowing cloth. One wears bells on his ankles that ring with each step. The rhythm builds, steady and pulsing, like the beat of the road itself. Idris returns to your side and speaks softly. This place has seen kings and thieves, but it remembers none by name. Only their shadows remain. You nod. The walls of the caravanserai bear the marks of history. Etched lines, painted sigils, even soot stains from old fires. You see a Mongol mark near your store, and beside it, a faded verse in Kufic script. The words are half lost, but you recognize enough to know it is a prayer for safe travel. You run your hand across it. The stone is cool beneath your palm. You retire late, climbing to the sleeping chambers above. The upper floors ring the courtyard, each cell simple. A bed of rugs, a clay lamp, and a small niche for belongings. You lie down, the stone firm beneath your mat. Through a small window, you see the stars once more. They shine with unblinking patience, as if keeping watch over every road below. Sleep takes you quickly, but the night does not pass without dream. You see a city, vast, glowing, its towers gilded with copper and brass. Minarets rise like spears, domes shimmer beneath a golden sky. People move through wide boulevards, their robes like painted sails in the wind. You walk among them, nameless, unseen. You hear voices, languages you do not know, and yet understand. One voice cuts through the rest, clear, calm, a child's voice. Where does the road end, Afshin? You turn, but there is no one. You wake before dawn. The courtyard below is still. Only a few are awake. The guards, the bakers, the scribe. Idris is already writing by the light of an oil lamp, head bowed, lips moving in silent recitation. You wash, gather your things, and rewrap your goods. Reza joins you, refreshed, already chewing dates. The best road is the one that brings you home, he says, though you wonder if he truly believes it. As the sun crests the walls, the caravan is whole again. One by one, the gates open, and you pass into the waking world. Behind you, the caravanserai closes its arms. Ahead, the Silk Road stretches, ancient, winding, full of strangers and storms, fortunes and fables. you step into its waiting silence. The caravanserai faded behind you like a half-remembered dream. In the hush before the sun's full rise, you and your companions had stepped once more onto the waiting road. Its dust familiar, its promise unchanged. There were no farewells, only the rustle of packed cloth, the creak of saddles, and the distant cry of waking birds. Each step forward pulled you further into a world shaped by silence and sun, by wind and war. You travelled not with haste, but with reverence, as if the road itself might hear your breath and remember your passing. And so the hours slipped by, the land stretching outward like a scroll unrolling before you, until the terrain shifted and a new shape rose ahead. The solemn outline of the border fort, standing like a sentinel between realms. Chapter 4. The Border Fort. The terrain changes slowly. Beyond the caravanserai, the land becomes drier, the soil paler. Scrub brush dots the earth like forgotten ink blots. Wind curls low, tugging at cloaks and stirring the hems of your robes. The air smells different now, less of sand and more of stone. Somewhere in the distance, a hawk calls, high and sharp. You travel in single file. The path here narrows between rising outcrops of ochre rock. Reza mutters a quiet prayer. Even Idris grows quiet. You feel it too, the weight of approach. You are nearing a border. By late morning, the fort appears. It is not large, a square of thick stone, with 2 watchtowers and a wall bearing the scars of old battles. Iron spikes crown its gate. Flags hang limp in the still air. One of the local warlord, one of the Khanate. The guards watch from above, bows slung across their backs, swords resting at their hips. Their faces are veiled, eyes alert. The caravan slows. You dismount. The gate creaks open and a single man steps forward. He is tall, with dark armor and a polished helm under his arm. He wears no insignia, only a leather-bound ledger in his hand. He does not speak at first, only watches. Then, without looking up, he begins. Name, origin, goods, purpose. You answer carefully. This is the domain of border keepers, men who care little for stories. They trade in rules, in customs, in coin. A missing permit can mean confiscation. A misstep, detention. Reza presents a sealed letter of passage, stamped in the Khan's own red wax. The officer nods once, sharply. The guards search the goods with swift hands. Silk is opened. Tea leaves sniffed. Scrolls unrolled. Idris winces, but says nothing. Then the scribe's name is called. The officer eyes his manuscripts with suspicion. Anything forbidden? He asks. No, says Idris. Only memory. Memory causes rebellion, the officer replies. But he finds nothing amiss. No heresy, no politics. Only poems and prayers. Still, one scroll is taken for inspection. Idris does not argue. He simply watches, eyes tired. You are allowed to pass. The gates open again and you move on. No words are exchanged as the caravan crosses into the Khanate's southern lands. Only when the fort disappears behind a rise do you breathe more freely. By midday, the road widens once more. A cool wind brushes the hills, and the scent of pine reaches your nose. Faint, but real. You spot the dark smudge of trees along the distant foothills, a rare sight. It promises shade, perhaps water. You stop beneath a rocky ridge. The caravan rests. Reza lays out flatbread and pistachios. Idris writes quietly. His scrolls spread like wings on the stone. You take a moment alone and climb a short rise. From the top, the view steals your breath. To the west, the road coils through golden valleys, hemmed by mountains the colour of worn copper. Eastward, the land flattens again, fading into the haze of distance. You can almost trace the journey behind you. The dunes, the caravanserai, the silence. You sit there for a time. A pair of shepherds pass by below, leading goats with bells around their necks. One waves. You wave back. The older one sings a tune, low and steady. You do not recognize the words, but the melody feels familiar, like something passed from voice to voice, too old to be claimed. As evening nears, the caravan stirs again. Camp is made in the hollow of the hill. Fires are lit. The smell of lentils and cumin fills the air. Idris reads aloud beneath the stars, a tale from Persia of a girl who traded her voice for a single line of poetry. The others listen, some half asleep, some sharpening tools, some pretending not to care. You lie beside the fire, eyes on the heavens. The stars have shifted. Constellations you followed days ago now hang differently. A subtle tilt, a quiet reminder that the world moves even as you walk upon it. The Silk Road is not just a path, it is time made visible. Dust of centuries clings to every mile. You glance at Idris, who now sleeps beside his scrolls, one hand resting protectively on the leather case. Reza snores softly, wrapped in his thick wool cloak. The camels murmur in their sleep, legs folded beneath them, like great living statues. And you drift again into dreams. In your sleep, you see towers of ice and temples in the sky. You see cities of paper, where the streets are written lines and the people walk in margins. You see a sea of stars beneath your feet, and each one speaks your name. When you wake, the fire is low, the world is hushed. A soft wind blows across the camp, carrying the scent of pine and ash. You sit up and whisper to the road itself, though it cannot answer, "Where are you taking me?" There is no reply, but the silence feels sacred. And so you rest, for in the morning, the journey continues. Morning finds you not with sudden urgency, but with a quiet unfolding, as if the sun itself is reluctant to break the stillness. The fire has turned to soft ash. Idris stirs, groggy and silent. Reza folds his cloak with the same precision he folds his thoughts. No words are needed. The road calls again. So the caravan gathers itself in practiced rhythm. Scrolls wrapped, waterskins filled, saddles checked, and resumes its northward path. The land begins to change once more, subtly at first. The wind carries a hint of moisture. The soil softens, and wildflowers appear like tiny prayers whispered into the earth. You descend slowly, leaving behind the austerity of the highlands and entering a valley where colour returns, and with it, the hum of life. What waits ahead is unknown, but already the road feels different. Not in shape, but in spirit. Something softer, lies beyond the bend. Chapter 5. The Scholar of Samarkand. The wind changes by midday. It carries warmth now, not the dry breath of the desert, but something softer, scented with blossoms and water. You are descending from the highlands into a river valley, where the land turns green, and the road itself seems to soften beneath your feet. The camels, weary but accustomed, pick up their pace. Birds call overhead. You see dragonflies glinting in the sun. Soon, the road merges with a wider path, paved with stone in parts, worn smooth by countless hooves and wheels. You begin to see signs carved into stone markers, directions in Arabic, Persian, and Uyghur script. The edge of a new world. Civilization, once again, is near. That evening, you reach a settlement, small but vibrant. Mud brick homes with flat roofs, flowering vines growing over shaded courtyards, smoke drifting from copper chimneys. A wide irrigation canal cuts through the village, fed by the river that sings just beyond the trees. Children run barefoot along its banks, chasing each other with sticks. An old man sits near a wooden bridge, playing a bowed instrument with a horsehair string. You are welcomed as guests. Water is offered first, then fruit, apricots and pomegranates. A woman named Zubaydah invites you to stay the night in her family's guest house. Her father once rode the Silk Road, she says. He never returned, but his stories remain, spoken in the hush between breaths. You bathe, eat, and rest. The food is seasoned gently. Stewed eggplant, yogurt with mint, rice perfumed with cinnamon. That night, you lie beneath a slatted roof, watching stars flicker through gaps in the wood. You think of your own stories, the ones you tell, the ones you live, the ones yet unwritten. In the morning, Zubaydah offers directions to a place nearby. A scholar lives beyond the grove, she says. A man who collects forgotten words. She smiles, as though amused. He writes books no one reads. You find the path easily. It winds through fields of barley and fig trees, then enters a shaded grove of walnut and poplar. At its heart stands a low house made of river stone and wood, with a small garden thick with herbs. Bees hum. Wind chimes made of clay and bone sing softly in the breeze. A man sits on a stool near the door, mending the binding of a book with careful hands. His beard is long and silver. His robes are simple but clean. His eyes, when they rise to meet yours, are startling, bright and sharp as polished glass. You've come far, he says, as though greeting an old friend. Come, tea is ready. His name is Al-Harawi. He once studied in Nishapur, copied manuscripts in Baghdad, taught logic in Rai. But now, he says, he is retired from the world. His shelves are filled with scrolls, codices, slates, many languages, many ages. He moves like one who remembers too much. You sit beneath a fig tree and sip spiced tea from a painted cup. Reza and Idris rest nearby. The scholar asks questions, not the kind that seek answers, but the kind that plant seeds. What do you trade, Afshin? He asks. You answer by listing goods, silk, salt, ink. He shakes his head. No, what do you truly trade? Stories, Idris answers for you. The scholar smiles. You know, he says, long ago, A woman passed through here who claimed to carry a book from the east. She said it could speak without a tongue. It bore the breath of the mountains and the secrets of the sea. I never saw it, but I believe her. The road remembers her still. You remain for hours. He reads you an ancient tale, written in Sogdian, a language you barely know. But his voice carries the rhythm, the spirit, and soon you are lost in it. A merchant's daughter who dreams of birds, a kingdom ruled by sleep, a jewel that hums when held by the truthful. You feel as though you've stepped sideways in time. Before you leave, Al-Harawi gifts you a page, a single parchment bearing a fragment of verse in golden ink. You cannot read it, but something in it feels familiar. You tuck it safely between the folds of your robe. He watches you go from beneath the tree, fingers folded in his lap. Remember, he calls, the road does not end at the sea. It ends in silence. You do not fully understand, but the words stay with you. Back on the path, you are quiet. Even Reza speaks little. Idris hums a tune from childhood, slow and minor, as though anchoring himself to something solid. The air grows cooler again as the hills rise. You are heading north now, toward the crossroads town of Bukhara, a place where philosophies battle and spices make kings. At dusk, you camp beside the river. The stars return, shy and pale behind a veil of clouds. You think of the scholar's voice, of the parchment, of Zubayda's father, of stories that vanish like mist. You think of the question Al-Harawi never asked. Why are you really walking this road? And for the first time, you realize you do not know. But the path does. So you follow it still. Night thins slowly over the river, leaving a skin of pale mist upon the water. You woke before the others, Al-Harawi's last words still turning like a wheel in your chest. The road does not end at the sea. It ends in silence. You poured the morning into the copper pot and watched the steam rise, wondering which silence awaited you, the kind that closes or the kind that reveals. By the time the embers dimmed to ash, the caravan had gathered itself without command. Packs were tied, scrolls wrapped, skins filled. You set out beneath a sky veiled in soft cloud, the air smelling of reeds and silt. The road widened and grew smoother, its stones polished by the weight of centuries. Poplars rose like sentries along the way. The morning their leaves whispering in a tongue older than empire. River reeds. Travelers, you rise before the others. Shepherds, stirring pilgrims, embers into flames, heavy with dye and copper in the copper pot. Each drawn as you the were toward a name that hovered on every signpost, and even every tongue seemed to wait. Bukhara, the road into Bukhara, is lined with poplar trees. Less like a destination. Their leaves trembling and more in the like a memory. Wind. The road had been leading more travelers now. Shepherds driving, the wind flocks, shifted, and the pilgrims on foot. You felt traders with carts you saw pulled by oxen. The pull of a place the city where draws them all treasured like a great flame, where stories then it appears like spices. Bukhara rises and from the plain like a dream carved in mud brick and stone, and the low stone minarets markers pierce the sky. City rose, blue tiled domes and gleam faintly beneath the morning and clouds. Dome. Waiting like a question you had finally learned how to ask. Sound. Bells ring from mosques. The bazaar of Bukhara coils from dozens of ovens. Voices layer like silk. Persian, Arabic, Turkic, and others you cannot name. You enter through the eastern gate. It is wide and arched, covered in calligraphy, Guards stand watch, but they wave you through after a glance at your papers. Inside, the streets twist like flowing ink. You pass under archways and through courtyards shaded by grapevines. A man calls out prices for dried dates. A child offers jasmine water in a clay cup. Idris, already distracted, begins sketching the faces he sees. You make your way to the central caravanserai, a wide, enclosed square with a well at its heart and stables in the rear. The walls are thick, windowless below, latticed above. Travellers come and go, their goods stacked high, their eyes scanning for news. You recognise none of them. That somehow feels right. Reza handles the lodging while you unload the camels. The beasts groan but obey. Soon your wares are secured and your hands are free. For the first time in days, you walk the city unburdened. You follow the winding paths to the bazaar. It is a city within a city. Covered markets, stretching like rivers beneath vaulted ceilings. Each quarter is its own world. One for silks, another for spices, another for books and ink. Brass lamps hang overhead, casting golden light that flickers on fabric and fruit, armour and amulets. You stop before a stall of textiles. The merchant, a man with hennaed hands, speaks with pride of his silks, patterned in Kashgar, dyed in Samarkand, woven by moonlight, he claims. You smile. Every seller here is also a poet. Farther on, a woman sells saffron by weight. Bright red threads held in glass jars like treasure. You watch her measure carefully, her eyes focused, her hands steady. You purchase a small vial, just enough for trade, and she includes a handful of dried rose petals for luck. In the book quarter, Idris vanishes. You find him an hour later, seated cross-legged in a corner of a stall, surrounded by folios. The bookseller is an old woman with ink-stained fingers and one blind eye. They speak in hushed tones. She lets him hold a leather-bound codex written in Greek. He trembles slightly, reverent. "Is it yours now?" you ask. "No," he says, still gazing at the pages, "but I will remember it." In the square outside, performers gather. Acrobats flipping through dust, a man swallowing flame. A musician with a long-necked lute, playing a melody so sweet it slows time. You pause, letting the music wash over you. The sun breaks through the clouds and Bukhara glows like a coin held to the sky. Later, you sit with Reza in a tea house carved into the wall of the old Zoroastrian quarter. The floor is soft with carpets. Tea is served in porcelain cups painted with mountain scenes. The host bows once, deeply. "I could stay here," Reza murmurs, gazing into the steam. "Buy a mule, grow fat and rich, tell stories to children who don't listen." "You would hate it," you say. He smiles. "I know." That evening, a storm rolls in. Thunder mutters beyond the horizon. Traders pull in their awnings. Wind dances through alleyways, curling dust into the air. You return to the caravanserai as the first drops fall. The scent of wet stone and citrus blossoms fills the air. You lie beneath the awning and listen to the rain. Idris is silent for once, lost in thought. Reza sharpens his knife, slow and methodical. You cradle a scroll from the book quarter, a collection of riddles written in Arabic and Syriac. One reads, "I pass without feet, speak without tongue. I remember the dead, yet I am never young. You close the scroll and let the riddle turn in your mind. Outside, the city sighs. Rain falls into the night, tapping the roofs, the stones, the camels' hides. You sleep with its rhythm etched into your chest, like a second heartbeat. Tomorrow the journey continues, but tonight you are part of something vast and ancient. A tapestry of voices and trade, ink and spice, woven by hands long vanished. Bukhara cradles you gently, like a mother who knows her child cannot stay. And the road waits, just beyond the gate. The rain did not linger. By dawn, Bukhara shimmered with washed stone and scent. Damp jasmine, baked clay, extinguished fires. You walked its waking streets one last time, past the shuttered tea houses, the carpet merchants still dreaming, the pigeons uncoiling from their towers. Idris, reluctant but reverent, wrapped his scrolls like relics. Veza spoke little, his fingers brushing the caravan saddlebags like he was checking old armor. When you reached the gate, the city behind you felt distant already, not in miles, but in time. Like something remembered more than lived. A chapter folded. The road ahead opened like parchment unmarked. And with a final glance at Bukhara's domes, still catching the light like old coins, you turned northward toward the steppe, where silence is not absence, but memory waiting to speak. Chapter 7. Whispers from the Steppe. The morning after the storm is crystalline. Skies washed clean, the air cool and sharp. The road north beckons with renewed clarity. You leave Bukhara beneath a rising sun, its domes gleaming like distant lanterns behind you. The path takes you into the open steppe, vast, windswept, golden. No towns, no markets, only grass that sways like an ocean, and the occasional hawk tracing circles above. The silence here is not emptiness, it is a presence. Reza rides ahead, scanning the horizon. Idris walks beside you, scribbling notes in the margins of his journal. You say little. Words feel too loud in a place like this. The wind alone speaks in sighs, in howls, in half-remembered songs. By midday, you pass a series of low hills, worn smooth by time. At their base lie the scattered bones of a caravan long gone. A wheel, a rusted buckle, a broken urn. No names, no markers. You do not stop, but you nod in passing, acknowledging the story left behind. That night, you camp near a crescent-shaped grove where the trees grow low and silver-leaved. The fire crackles gently. Idris reads aloud from a poem he found in Bukhara. Something about wind chimes and lost love. His voice is soft, almost uncertain. Reza listens in silence, sharpening a second blade. Later, when they sleep, you watch the stars. There are more here than you've ever seen. They spill across the sky like spilled salt. No cities nearby to dim their light. You trace constellations with your finger. The scorpion, the archer, the veil of kings. And then you hear it. Not the wind. A whistle, low, drawn out, human. You rise slowly, scanning the dark. Movement, a flicker beyond the trees. Shapes, half seen. A quiet thud, like a soft footfall. You reach for your blade, not lifting it, just feeling the weight in your hand. You step to the edge of the fire's light. Then a voice. I expected 3 of you. There are 3, yes? The figure emerges, wrapped in fur, a bow slung across their back, curved and elegant. A woman, tall and lean, her face weathered but striking. Her eyes are sharp, her mouth set in a patient smile. I am Temur's daughter, she says. I rode from the east to find someone. The roads say you carry stories. You glance at the fire. Reza is awake now, blade in hand, but still. Idris sits up slowly, blinking away sleep. We carry many things, you say. She steps closer. There is a tale we lost. My grandfather heard it once from a monk on the road to Kashgar. A story of the fire that speaks, of the desert that remembers. I've hunted it for 5 years. Why? Idris asks, hoarse. Because it is ours, she replies. And we forgot it. She speaks not with desperation, but with certainty, as though this quest is older than she is. She sits at your fire without asking, removes her gloves, and reaches toward the flame. I will ride with you, she says, until the road answers me. Reza looks at you. You nod. And so she stays. Her name is Altani. She speaks little, eats sparingly, and moves like the wind she was born under. Her horse is lean but fast. She reads the sky, the grass, the curve of birds. Flight. She carries a flute carved from antler, but you never hear her play it. Over the next days, she teaches you to listen differently. The land speaks, she says, crouching beside a set of broken stones. It remembers everything. You just don't ask the right way. She shows Idris how to collect lichen for ink. She challenges Reza to a race and wins. She says nothing of her people or her past. Only the story, the fire that speaks, and her certainty that it matters. One evening, as the sun sets in a blaze of copper, you hear the thunder of hooves. Not hers. A second rider approaches, fast, reckless. The dust behind him curls like smoke. He wears bright silk, a curved blade at his hip, and a grin too wide for safety. Altani stands. Trouble. The man reins in hard, sand spraying. He looks at your caravan, appraising each of you with dark, amused eyes. I seek the trader called Afshin, he says. You step forward with one hand on his chest. I bring a message from a man who waits in the west. He has heard your name. You frown. Who? The rider smiles wider. He said you would know. Then he tosses a scroll at your feet, turns his horse, and vanishes back into the steppe. You pick it up. The seal is broken, red wax, smudged. The parchment smells faintly of cedar. No name, no signature. Only a line of verse. When the moon forgets the river, the Nira will crack. Altani reads it, then glances at the sky. It begins, she says. What does? She doesn't answer. That night, the wind changes. You dream of a burning tree, a voice in a language you've never heard, and a hand reaching out of black sand. And somewhere beneath it all, a fire, whispering your name. The fire burned long that night, but gave no warmth. You lay with eyes open, the wind folding and unfolding the canvas of your tent like breath in a sleeping lung. The desert no longer felt empty. It pressed in, not with threat, but with memory, as though the land remembered 1,000 stories and waited to know whether you were part of them. When dawn came, it did not come gently. No bird called, no horse stirred, only the sound of wind drawing patterns in the dust. And the sharp silence that follows when something has shifted. You rose not because you were rested, but because something inside you had already moved on. The scroll still lay by the cold ash. The verse had not changed, but now it no longer felt like a message sent. It felt like one returned. And so you gathered your things, broke no words with your companions, and turned your face west, toward the place the land had spoken of in your dream, toward what sleeps beneath. Chapter 8. The Fire That Speaks. Dawn rises late. The wind is restless. Sand scours the edge of the tents. The sky is pale and bruised, a smudge of purple against bone-white clouds. You wake before the others and stare eastward, where the land folds into memory. The scroll lies where you left it, beside the fire, unrolled, ink faded. You read the line again. When the moon forgets the river, the mirror will crack. It feels ancient, older than the ink, older than the tongue that first shaped it. A riddle, perhaps, or a warning. Altani watches you from the shadows of the trees. She does not ask what the scroll says. Perhaps she already knows. Perhaps she carries riddles of her own. After breakfast, flatbread and dried fig, the caravan moves west. The terrain grows harsher, rocky, brittle, broken. The steppe gives way to dry gullies and scattered thorns. Idris rides in silence, scribbling only once in his book all day. Reza hums a strange tune, low, repetitive, like something meant to keep spirits away. The sun blazes high, unkind and indifferent. You pass cairns stacked by old travellers, stones shaped into towers, offerings to no one in particular. Altani touches each one as she passes, lips moving in a silent prayer. You do the same, without knowing why. Then, near sunset, you see it. A stretch of scorched earth, blackened, smooth, ringed by shattered trees. No grass grows, no birds sing. Even the wind pauses here, as if uncertain. Altani dismounts first. She kneels at the edge and touches the ground. Lightning? Idris asks. She shakes her head. No, not skyfire. You crouch beside her. The earth is warm, strangely warm and brittle, like glass formed in heat. It cracks beneath your fingers. There is a story, Altani says, voice barely above breath. A fire that came from the mouth of the world. Not lightning, not sun, a breath, a message. From whom? Reza asks. From below, she replies. From what sleeps beneath. Idris frowns. You... Altani says nothing. You make camp nearby, but no fire is lit. The air feels heavy, like it waits for something. That night, the stars are hidden. Even the moon seems distant, as though it too avoids this place. You sleep lightly, dreams skimming the surface of your thoughts like dragonflies. In one dream, you stand alone in the blackened field. The earth opens, and voices pour upward. 100 tongues, none of them yours, each whispering a name. Yours. You wake, sweating. In the morning, the heat remains. You find black ash clinging to your robes, though no fire touched them. Altani walks the circle once more, then lifts her gaze to the cliffs ahead. There is a cave, she says, I saw it last night. No one argues. You break camp and ride toward the cliffs. The cave mouth is narrow, nearly hidden behind scrub and stone. But inside yawns wide. Cool air exhales from within, dry and metallic. You light a torch and step are smooth, unnatural, as if carved not by erosion, but by hand or claw. Strange etchings run along the sides, spirals, stars, a shape like a tree burning upside down. Farther in, the tunnel widens into a dome-shaped chamber. In its center sits a pedestal of black stone. Upon it, a bowl, empty, and beside it, a mirror, no larger than a hand. Its surface is cracked. Idris leans closer. Is this? You nod. You don't know how, but it is the mirror. You lift it. It is cold. Not stone, not metal, something in between. As you hold it, the air in the chamber shifts. The torch flickers. The carvings seem to move, shadows stretching across them like ink bleeding through paper. Then, a voice. Not loud, not sharp, soft, inside you. It does not speak words, not exactly. It speaks memory. You see the river that forgot the moon, a dried gorge long buried beneath cities. You see fire rising from the desert, not flames, but light, strange and golden. You see a figure, cloaked, faceless, standing where sky meets sand. They reach toward you. You drop the mirror. It lands with a soft clink and does not break further. The vision ends. The silence returns. Altani kneels beside it. Her face is pale. That was it, she whispers. That was the story. You swallow. And now? She lifts the mirror, holds it to her chest. Now we remember it. Outside, the wind has died. The sky is blank, waiting. You return to camp, but the road feels different now. Less path, more promise. Reza walks beside you, saying nothing. Idris stares at his hands, as if unsure they are his. Altani rides ahead, the mirror wrapped in cloth at her side. That night, you sit alone. The fire burns low. The stars return. Somewhere behind your ribs, the voice lingers. Not words, not sound, just warmth. Like the aftertaste of fire. Like something waiting to be told. The mirror no longer spoke, but its silence was not empty. As the days passed, the road seemed to bend of its own will, no longer carved by map or compass, but by something older. Instinct, dream, pull. The land grew quieter. Trees thinned. Hills flattened. The sky stretched, untouched. Reza stopped humming. Idris stopped writing. Altani said little, save for short glances to the west, where clouds curled like script erased mid-sentence. You felt it too. Not dread, but the weight of being watched. Not by eyes, but by memory. As if the world, now aware of your passage, had begun to remember you in return. On the fifth evening, the horizon rippled. Stone emerged from plain. Towers without smoke. Walls without banners. A city, half woken, folding into shape like a page turning itself. Kavar Dar. You did not speak its name. You did not need to. The others saw it too, and none of them asked why. They simply followed you forward. Chapter 9. The City of Unwritten Names. You arrive at the edge of the city near dusk. It rises from the plain like a half-forgotten dream. Domes without names, towers without flags, streets that vanish and reappear. No map marks this place. No scroll speaks of it. But here it is, and always was. The locals call it Carvadar, the Eastern Vale, a place whispered of by caravanners in moonlit tents, where merchants trade in silence and gold is weighed not in scales, but in memory. The city shifts, they say. It forgets itself so it may remember others. You hesitate at its gates, if they can be called that. 2 pillars of stone, etched with script no scholar can read. Altani pauses beside you, the mirror still wrapped and strapped to her side. Reza frowns. Strange place to find on a straight road. Idris looks up at the walls. Strange place to find at all. Still, you enter. You pass a weaver's stall. Fabrics unlike any you've seen. Some shimmer like mist. Others pulse faintly, as though remembering the hands that once wore them. The weaver, an old man with clouded eyes, nods to you and says nothing. Not one word, Idris murmurs. Not a single greeting. Reza shrugs. Maybe they've said all the ones worth saying. You find lodging in a quiet courtyard inn. The woman who greets you has silver hair coiled like rope and eyes the colour of wet ash. She gestures without speaking, leads you to rooms lined with oil lamps and thick blankets. She takes no coin. Instead, she touches the wrapped mirror at Altani's side and simply nods. That night, you walk the alleys alone. Every corner feels familiar, not from memory, but from something deeper. As though you dreamed this place once and forgot. In a courtyard, you find a storyteller. No audience, just her and the fire. She looks young, but her voice sounds ancient. She tells of a city swallowed by sand, where the sun forgot to rise. Of a mountain where dreams were carved into stone and buried. Of a child born with no shadow. You sit and listen. She never acknowledges you, but her final words seem meant only for your ears. Every name once had a face. Every silence once held a scream. And every mirror remembers. The fire dies. She is gone. In the morning, the city hums. You visit a scribe's shop. A square room of scrolls stacked in spirals, some stretching to the ceiling. The scribe is thin, tall, ink-stained. He does not greet you. Instead, he points to a scroll sealed in grey wax. Its label bears your name, not Afshin. Your real name, the one you do not speak aloud, the one given before the desert, before the road. Your hand shakes as you reach for it. Inside, a map. Not of places, but of times. The parchment shows deserts, yes, but also fires, eclipses, forgotten treaties. Paths of memory. Traces of thought. At its center, drawn in red, is a tree, burning upside down. The same symbol from the cave. You turn to the scribe, but he is gone. Altani enters moments later. Her face is unreadable. I know where it leads now, she says. You look down at the map. To the fire? To before the fire, she replies. To the place where it was born. You leave the city before noon. As you pass through the silent gate, the weaver offers you a length of silver thread. No explanation. You accept it. Idris takes one last glance at the walls. I won't remember this place, he says, half to himself. None of us will, Reza mutters. That's the point. The moment you step beyond the last stone, something shifts. You look back. No city. Only plain. Only wind. Only sky. That night, you camp on hard ground beneath a sky full of questions. Altani studies the map by firelight. The mirror lies beside her, unwrapped for the first time in days. Its crack glows faintly. Reza sharpens a knife he does not intend to use. Idris hums the tune from Bukhara, the one he found in a stranger's book, the one that feels older than words. You sleep deeply, and you dream again, but not of flame, of sand. Endless, rippling. Then a woman's voice, low and steady. When you reach the fire's mouth, do not speak. Let the silence remember you. Only then will the mirror close. You wake at dawn with a name on your lips, not yours, but one you've heard before, in a story, in a song, whispered by wind over water. You write it down, just in case it forgets itself. The name you wrote fades by morning, not from the page, but from your memory. You trace the ink, but it gives you no answer. Only a feeling remains, like the echo of a voice lost to wind. You break camp in silence. The road beneath you has changed, not in shape, but in meaning. It no longer feels like passage. It feels like preparation. The earth hardens. The sky broadens. Fewer birds call. Even the sun seems to watch. Altani folds the map with a care that feels ritual. Reza straps the mirror in its wrap of wool and leather. Idris closes his journal for the first time in days. The silence among you is not emptiness, it is reverence. By mid-morning, the trade routes are behind you. Familiar signs vanish. The horizon opens like a curtain pulled back, and beyond it, something stirs. Not a city, not a caravan, a valley, waiting. Chapter 10. The Valley of First Fire. The road bends southward now, away from the trade lines and into forgotten terrain, where maps end and only memory travels. The land shifts, the sky widens, the silence deepens. It begins with red stone, great slabs rising from the earth like broken teeth. They lean at odd angles, etched with the ghost of water once flowing. You ride between them in single file, the air dry and thin. No birds fly here, no caravan bells echo. Even the wind grows wary. Altani holds the map loosely, letting the paper guide itself. She doesn't speak, neither do you. Words feel too small for what lies ahead. Weza has taken to walking beside his camel. He says it feels wrong to ride here, as if the ground carries memory and weight too sacred to trample. Idris still writes, but slower now. His fingers hover long before touching parchment, as though the stories he records might write themselves if left alone. By midday, the red stone gives way to scorched earth. You remember the blackened circle from days ago, the land near the cave, and feel a tremor in your chest. This ground is different, but it shares something of that silence, that warning. Then you see it, the valley. It stretches wide and deep between two mountain ridges, a bowl carved by time and heat. At its center stands a single spire of obsidian, tall and narrow, shining faintly even in the daylight. Around it, nothing grows, nothing dares. You camp at the rim, That night, no fire is lit. The stars return in full, sharp and brilliant, like a million eyes watching. The spire below glows softly with internal light, as though embers live within it. Altani speaks at last. They called it the fire's mouth, long before cities, long before the road, a place where sky and earth touched and were never the same again. You ask, who called it that? She looks at you. Those who remembered what the mirror show. You sleep little. Dreams come anyway. This time, you walk into the valley, alone. The spire hums, low, constant, like a voice stretched too thin to speak. You reach out to touch it. Your hand passes through. And then, nothing. Only heat. Only light. You wake before dawn, sweating and cold. At sunrise, you descend. The path is narrow, slick with fine black dust. Every footstep leaves a perfect print. The spire grows larger as you near. Taller than it seemed, impossibly tall. Its surface is smooth, but not flat. It curves, ripples, shivers faintly. It breathes. Altani unpacks the mirror. It pulses now, the crack along its center glowing with pale fire. She does not hold it out. She sets it on the ground. The spire responds. A hum rises. Not loud, not sharp. Just present. A deep tone that presses behind your eyes and down your spine. The dust stirs. The light shifts. The air thickens. And then a line appears across the spire. A vertical seam, hair thin. A door. Without a word, Altani steps forward. You follow. Inside, the world changes. There are no walls, no floor. Only space, endless, warm, golden. Shapes float here. Objects, memories, moments. A child's laughter, a falling star, a battlefield soaked in red, a mother weeping at a city gate. All of it flickers, all of it burns. The mirror hovers beside Altani now, no longer bound to her hand. It reflects not your faces, but your pasts. You see yourself in a market, young and barefoot. You see a caravan lost to storm. A friend's face, long gone. A fire, a name whispered in another lifetime. Then, darkness. A figure forms, cloaked in flame, face hidden. It speaks without sound. It shows you a tree, not burning, but blooming. Its roots in the sky, its branches in the soil. A mirror hangs from its limbs. It shows you a road made of names, yours among them, and many not yet written. It asks a question, not in words, but in no. Will you remember what the fire forgets? You do not answer aloud, but something within you says yes. The vision fades, the spire dims. You stand outside once more, the valley behind you. The sun is high. The air smells of ash and salt. Altani holds the mirror, now whole. No crack, no glow, only reflection. Reza bows slightly, as if before something holy. Idris writes one word and closes his book. Enough, he says. You mount your camel and turn north. The Silk Road awaits, alive, unwritten, endless. Chapter 11. The Caravan of Echoes. You ride northward now, but something has shifted. The road is unchanged, still lined with stones worn by centuries, still veiled in dust and time. Yet the world feels newly awake. trees bend differently in the breeze. The sky listens. The mirror hangs at Altani's side, silent and whole. No glow, no hum. But each of you feels it. A new weight in the air. As if every footstep echoes not just behind you, but forward, into days not yet born. Idris rides with a tighter grip on his book. He writes less, but the pages weigh more. Razor speaks softer, and only when needed. You sense it in your own breath, slower, deeper, as though the desert itself has taught your lungs a new rhythm. Then, 3 days beyond the valley, you hear them. Voices, dozens, maybe hundreds. At first, just wind, then melody, then laughter. You crest a low ridge and see them. A caravan unlike any you've known. Banners of every shape and hue flutter above a procession of people from every corner of the world. Mongol herders in thick felt cloaks. Persian scholars with scrolls tied at their waists. Indian merchants wrapped in embroidered silk. Monks in saffron robes, and more still. Their animals move in time. Horses, camels, oxen, all walking in quiet unity. And in the centre, a great wagon of dark wood and ivory, pulled not by beasts, but by people. A dozen pilgrims in robes of silver grey, faces veiled. You descend toward them slowly, cautiously. A young boy greets you first. His hair is curled like spring vines. His eyes carry the calm of someone much older. "We've been expecting you," he says, as if you are late for tea. Reza blinks. "How could you possibly—" The boy just smiles. The mirror remembers. And it forgets. You are led to the centre. The wagon opens like a blooming flower. Inside is not a throne nor altar, but a circle of cushions around a shallow bowl filled with moving sand. Tiny grains that swirl endlessly without wind. An elder sits cross-legged beside it. Her skin is dark bronze. Her eyes milk white. She wears a necklace of tiny mirrors, each no bigger than a thumbnail. When she speaks, her voice seems to arrive before her lips move. The fire's mouth has opened and closed. You saw what you have. Altani nods slowly, and we carry it still. The elder tilts her head. Do you understand what it gave you? You remain silent. She continues. Once, long ago, mirrors were not for faces. They were for memories. Not to reflect, but to hold. The old ones poured their stories into glass, hoping time would listen. She gestures to the sand. This is what remains of them. Their truths, their fears, their names, swirling always, waiting for a voice. Altani unwraps the mirror. The bowl of sand stills instantly. The elder smiles. Good, it still listens. Others gather. The caravan members sit quietly, forming a circle around the bowl. No instructions, no ritual, just stillness. Then a song, low, wordless, passed from one voice to another like water from hand to hand. A song not for performance, but for remembering. You don't know the melody, yet your throat aches with it, as though it once lived there. Idris places his book beside the bowl. Let it be remembered, he says. Reza pulls a small flute from his satchel and plays 3 notes. The ones he always hums. The ones that came from Bukhara, or maybe before. Altani says nothing. She simply touches the mirror with her fingertips. And you close your eyes and speak your real name, the one from before the road. The wind takes it. The bowl of sand begins to move again, this time in a spiral, upward, like smoke. The elder nods. It is done. You rest with the caravan that night. Stories are traded like gold. A monk tells of a city of glass lost beneath a lake. A woman from the Western Isles describes birds that sing in the voices of children. An old soldier shows a scar shaped like a crescent moon and says it came from a dream. You do not sleep. You watch the stars. And for the first time in many moons, they do not seem like watchers. They seem like companions. In the morning, the caravan parts ways. Each group sets out in a different direction. East, west, south. You are offered a place among the mirror bearers, those who protect and remember. But you decline. Not yet. There is more road ahead. Not to walk, but to share. You are a storyteller, and the Silk Road still listens. The caravan fades behind you like a whispered song, its echoes weaving through the dust-laden air and settling deep within your bones. Their stories, voices, and songs linger, not as distant memories, but as living threads woven into the fabric of the road itself. The path ahead feels different now, less a mere passage through the earth, and more a passage through the corridors of time and remembrance. Before you stretches Marv, a city suspended between the breath of past and present, where silent stones and shadowed alleys hold stories waiting to be awakened. Here, the journey quiets, turning inward, where the weight of history meets the pulse of memory, and the storyteller's voice must carry the flame alone. Chapter 12. The City That Waited. The road bends west now, drawing you toward stone and shadow. After weeks among silence and sky, the shape of a city on the horizon feels unnatural. Too sharp, too still. It rises not like a haven, but like a memory unfinished. You know this place. Marv, once a jewel of the Khorasan frontier, where fountains sang and minarets caught the wind like sails. You came here as a younger man, when your beard held no grey, and your satchel brimmed with more stories than truth. You remember its tiled courtyards, the saffron scent wafting from vendors' pots, the call of muezzins echoing like silk unrolling at dawn. Now, it stands quiet. The gates are open, but not welcoming. The guards, if any remain, are unseen. You pass beneath the arch alone. No one stops you. No one watches. And that, you think, is the strangest welcome of all. Inside, the streets stretch like a labyrinth half-remembered. Shadows cling to alleyways. The wind carries whispers, not of voices, but of time itself brushing against walls too proud to forget. You walk slowly, past the bazaar, long emptied, past the hammam, its marble basin dry, past the storyteller's steps, once your perch, where now only dust listens. You make your way to the house of Safiya. She was the first to call you by your name when you arrived here years ago. A weaver of cloth and truth. Her hands could craft both tapestry and tale. You sold her lapis stones once. She gave you a poem in return. Her door is ajar. Inside, the house smells of rosewater and parchment. The rugs remain where they always were. A small fire flickers in the hearth, unattended. And in the far room, she waits. Older now, her hair wrapped in crimson silk, her eyes still sharp. "I wondered when you'd return," she says. You bow low. "The road was long." "The road is always long," she replies. "The question is whether you arrive changed." You sit across from her on the floor. Between you, a shallow bowl of dates and a brass pot of bitter coffee. "You carry something," she says. It hums, not aloud, but beneath your skin. You nod. She leans forward. "Show me." You unwrap the mirror. It no longer glows. It simply is. She does not flinch. Instead, she gazes not into her reflection, but through it. "I've seen this before," she says. "Not this piece, but others. Fragments, passed down like prayers, lost like smoke." She tells you of her grandmother, a woman who claimed to dream in the memories of others, who whispered tales that belonged to strangers long gone, who died smiling as though she'd remembered the name of a star she had loved in another life. You listen. She reaches forward, touches the edge of the mirror, lightly, reverently, and then she begins to hum. A tune you've never heard. Soft, uneven, like breath against glass. It pulls at the edges of the room. The fire flickers. The walls seem closer. You feel as though the house leans forward, listening too. When the song ends, she closes her eyes. "She taught me that," Sophia says. "Said it was for doors, not wooden ones, the kind inside." You ask, "And does it open them?" She nods once, or reminds you they were never closed. Outside, dusk gathers. The city exhales, not in life, but in memory. You walk again through its streets, and suddenly it is not empty. Children run between stalls. A woman barters for cumin. Two old men play chess beside the mosque, arguing over a rook's sacrifice. You blink, and the street is quiet again. But you know now, the city waited not for people, but for story. And it has been heard. Before you leave, Sophia places something in your palm. A spindle, wrapped in violet thread. "For the next one," she says. You ask, "The next what?" She smiles. "The next rememberer." That night, you sleep in the old cairn. Your dreams are filled not with visions or fire, but with silk, woven endlessly from voices that came before. And in the morning, as you mount your camel and ride eastward again, the city behind you seems brighter, not alive, but no longer forgotten. The violet spindle rests lightly in your palm, a thread unbroken, woven through the stories that bind past and present. As the city's memory fades behind you, the road ahead stretches endless beneath the vast sky, a ribbon of earth unraveling between sand and stone. Days pass in quiet solitude, the weight of what you carry settling deep within your bones, a silent companion to your breath. The voices of friends grow distant, their paths diverging like tributaries in a great river, leaving you to travel alone, yet never quite empty, for the mirror's stories linger beneath your skin, humming in rhythms you are only beginning to understand. Chapter 13. The Man with No Shadow. The sun sits high, silver and sharp, casting long lines over the plains of Sogdia. The road ahead is straight but empty, framed by ghost villages where wind lives but people do not. The sky above is an unbroken sheet of blue, humming with heat. Your camel groans softly beneath you, legs stiff with distance. The world feels stretched, like parchment pulled too tight, ready to tear. You travel alone again. Altani parted ways weeks ago, called north to answer a blood debt. Reza remained behind in the city of wind towers, drawn by love or the shape of a song he could not yet finish. Even Idris, faithful as a shadow, left to return to his books and the quiet wisdom of Shiraz. You are not lonely, but you are lighter than you should be, as if something has already been taken from you. And then, on the horizon, a figure appears. He walks alone. No horse, no pack, no companion. Just a man, robed in grey. His stride steady, his presence still. As he draws near, something in your chest clenches. He casts no shadow. Not behind, not beside, not even beneath. You blink. Once, twice, still nothing. He stops 10 paces away and bows slightly. His face is smooth, unreadable, as if carved from candle smoke. His voice when he speaks is soft and without accent. You carry it. You do not answer. You know what he means. The mirror, he says, does not belong to one hand forever. It travels. It forgets. It waits. You nod slowly. And you've come to take it? He tilts his head, almost curious. No, I've come to ask. You reach into your satchel, fingers brushing the cloth-wrapped mirror. It's cool, quiet, waiting. The man sits cross-legged on the sand and gestures for you to join him. You do. What do you know of it? You ask. He gazes out across the horizon. There are mirrors made of silver, of copper, of polished obsidian. And then there are mirrors made of story. This one is both. It remembers what the world forgets, but every time it is shown, something is lost in the giver. You feel a chill. Lost! He nods. Memory is not shared freely. It has weight. You feel it, don't you? In your spine, in your dreams. You say nothing. He continues. There was a woman before you in Samarkand, a dancer. She used the mirror to remember the steps of a dance no one had performed in 300 years. She died smiling, and there was a shepherd, centuries before that, who saw in it a face he had never met, but wept as if it were his mother's. He turns to you, finally. What have you seen? You hesitate. A name, you say, spoken before I was born. A fire that sang. A child who died and then lived again through me. The man nods solemnly. And now, I don't know, you whisper. He reaches into his robe and removes a scroll. It is bound with red twine, sealed with dark wax. This is a map, he says. Not to a place, but to a moment. The last time the mirror must be shown. You take the scroll. It is warm, as if it has been waiting for your touch. When, you ask? Soon. Where? Where silence is older than sand. He stands. If you bring the mirror there, it will speak one final story. After that, it will vanish. Not destroyed. Just finished. You stare at him. And if I don't? He smiles. It is not cruel, but it is not kind. Then the stories remain yours, forever. The wind picks up suddenly. Dust spins between you. And when you blink again, he is gone. You look down. A small pile of salt lies where he sat. By nightfall, you reach the edge of a ravine carved by forgotten rivers. You camp beside an ancient fig tree, its roots coiled around stone. The stars overhead seem colder. More. You open the scroll. There is no ink, only a circle burned into the parchment. At its center, a dot. The desert whispers around you. The fire crackles. And in the heart of your satchel, the mirror stirs. Not awake, not asleep, but aware. You sit with the scroll in your lap, staring at the blank sky, wondering how much time you have before you must give everything you've carried away. And for the first time since you began this journey, you ask yourself, what happens to the storyteller when the story ends? The night fades slowly, the stars retreating as dawn stretches its first fingers over the dunes. Time moves softly now, measured not in hours, but in the slow turning of memories beneath your skin. The scroll's empty circle burns quietly in your hands, a silent summons to a place and moment beyond sight, beyond words. Around you, the desert waits patiently, a vast breath held steady between endings and beginnings. The mirror hums faintly beside you, a heartbeat syncing with your own, as if urging you forward on a path you cannot yet see. In this stillness, you gather what remains, the weight of stories carried, the echo of voices long gone, and the knowledge that the final chapter is close at hand. Chapter 14. The Crossroads of Silence. Dawn breaks slowly over the dunes, painting the world in shades of gold and rose. The desert breathes with a quiet rhythm, a heartbeat older than memory, steady and patient. You sit beneath the fig tree, the scroll heavy in your hands. The burnt circle mocks you with its emptiness, a riddle without answer. The mirror rests beside you, cool as ever, reflecting nothing but your own face. And yet, it feels alive, humming faintly beneath the cloth. For days, you trace the edges of the circle with a fingertip, searching for hidden marks, secret signs. But the parchment remains silent, empty as the desert sky. No map, no guide, only a promise that the mirror's final story waits for you somewhere where silence is older than sand. You wonder if such a place exists. Your camel grazes nearby, the only movement in a still world. The caravan is gone, scattered to the winds, like the many stories you have gathered and lost. You are alone again, the road stretching endlessly before you. In the distance, a faint shimmer rises from the sand. A mirage, or perhaps a memory conjured by your restless mind. It takes the shape of a city, walls gleaming with the light of 100 dawns. You blink, and it vanishes, leaving only heat and silence. But choice weighs heavy in your chest. Follow a phantom into the unknown, or turn back to the familiar paths of trade and tale. Each decision carries its own shadow. Each step forward, a question unanswered. At night, your dreams are filled with faces, strangers, friends, ancestors, all whispering fragments of stories you have never heard. They speak of endings and beginnings intertwined, of cycles that turn like the wheels of a caravan. One voice rises above the rest, soft and urgent. The story is not yours alone. You wake with the dawn, the weight of that phrase pressing down. You wrap the mirror carefully and prepare to move. The wind picks up, carrying with it the scent of jasmine and dust. You set out across the dunes, the scroll tucked safely in your satchel. The desert around you changes subtly as you travel. The sand grows finer, softer, almost as if the earth itself were folding beneath your feet. The sky darkens, shifting from pale blue to a deep indigo, sprinkled with stars too numerous to count. You reach a narrow pass flanked by towering cliffs, their faces scarred by time and wind. Here, the silence is profound, not the absence of sound, but a presence, dense and thick, pressing against your skin. You step through the pass and find yourself in a valley unlike any you have seen. The air is cool and still, the ground carpeted with ancient stones etched in faded script. The stones seem to hum faintly beneath your touch, as if awake with memory. At the valley's center stands a lone tree, its branches bare, but alive with a strange light that pulses softly like a heartbeat. Beneath it lies a shallow pool, its surface smooth as glass. You set the mirror beside the pool and remove its cloth. The glass shimmers and shifts, reflecting not your own face, but scenes from times long past. Bustling markets, caravans winding through mountains, lovers meeting in secret under moonlight. The stories flow through the mirror like water, vivid and alive. As you watch, the mirror's light grows brighter, filling the valley with warmth and colour. The silence around you breaks, replaced by a chorus of voices, the echoes of all who have walked the Silk Road before. You close your eyes and listen, feeling the weight of countless lives and stories converging within you. When you open them again, the mirror is dark and still. The story is told. The journey's end is also its beginning. You wrap the mirror once more and stand beneath the ancient tree, knowing your role has changed forever. You are no longer just a traveler or trader. You are a keeper of stories, a guardian of memory, a thread woven into the endless tapestry of the Silk Road. And the road, vast and eternal, waits for you to walk it once more. Chapter 15, The Keeper's Burden. The dawn spills over the valley like molten gold, casting long shadows across the ancient stones. You stand beneath the bare branches of the luminous tree, the mirror wrapped and secured within your satchel. The final story has been told, yet your journey is far from over. The air feels different now, heavier, charged with a quiet power that hums beneath your skin. You sense the eyes of the road upon you, unseen but ever watchful, as if the very sands carry whispers meant only for those who listen. You begin to walk again, your steps steady but thoughtful, as the valley behind you fades into a shimmering haze. Each footprint you leave is a small prayer, a promise etched into the endless tapestry of memory. The desert is no longer just a land of survival. It is a living canvas, painted with stories of triumph and loss, love and betrayal, of countless souls who have passed this way before you. The Silk Road is not simply a path of commerce, it is a thread that binds together the hearts of empires, the voices of strangers, and the dreams of the forgotten. As you journey, you carry not just the mirror, but the weight of all it holds. The stories that demand to be heard, the memories that refuse to fade, and the legacy that must be preserved. you come upon a small caravan resting near a cluster of date palms. Their campfires flicker softly in the morning light, and the familiar scent of spices and cooking bread fills the air. The traders look up as you approach, their eyes curious yet respectful. You feel the pull of connection, the shared understanding of those who live between worlds, between places, between moments. You offer a quiet greeting, a smile that carries the warmth of countless suns, and for a moment, the distance of your journey seems to vanish. They ask about your travels, the tales you've gathered, the treasures you carry. You speak in gentle, measured words, weaving fragments of the mirror's stories into the fabric of conversation. Their faces brighten with wonder, their eyes reflecting the flicker of firelight and the spark of imagination. In this exchange, you find solace, a reminder that stories are not meant to be hoarded, but shared. They are the breath of the world, passed from mouth to ear, heart to heart, generation to generation. Night falls, and the desert sky blooms with stars once more. Around the campfire, you take your place among the storytellers, the keepers of memory. You speak slowly, letting your voice carry the weight and wonder of the mirror's final tale. The traders listen, their faces illuminated by firelight and the glow of understanding. When you finish, a hush settles over the group, a sacred silence that speaks of respect, reverence, and the unspoken bond of shared history. You realize then that your journey has transformed you. No longer are you just Afshin the trader or Afshin the wanderer. You are Afshin the storyteller, the keeper of the Silk Road's soul. The road stretches endlessly before you, a ribbon of sand and stars, of voices and visions, waiting to be walked once more. And you will walk it, carrying the stories, the memories, the light, for as long as the desert breathes and the stars watch over the endless night. And as the night deepened, you felt the road's whisper calling you onward, towards stories yet untold. Chapter 16, The Whispering Sands. The desert wind carries a soft murmur, like a secret passed between ancient stones and the drifting sands. You ride beneath a sky brushed with fading stars, the cool night air a balm against your sun-worn skin. The road is silent, except for the steady steps of your camel, a faithful companion that has borne you across countless leagues of dust and memory. Behind you lies the valley where the mirror revealed its final story. A place where silence was indeed older than sand itself. Ahead, the path twists and bends, weaving through the desert's heart like a silver thread under moonlight. You feel the weight of the journey pressing upon you, yet also a strange lightness, as if the stories you carry have begun to lift, unfurling like the desert's own wild blossoms. The stars above shift subtly, constellations realigning in patterns forgotten by most, but remembered by the road. You trace their shapes, a silent dialogue with the heavens that guides your way. In the distance, a faint glow flickers like a lantern's promise. As you approach, you discover a small encampment nestled beside an oasis. Palms swaying gently, water shimmering in the moonlight. The traders here are few, but their welcome is warm, their faces marked by sun and story. They gather around the fire, exchanging news from cities far and near, their voices weaving a tapestry of voices that blend with the night wind. You share your tale cautiously, weaving the mirror's final story into the fabric of conversation. The traders listen with wide eyes, their wonder mirroring your own. The story sparks a ripple among them, a reminder that even in the vastness of the desert, no one walks truly alone. As dawn bleeds into day, the camp stirs with life. You help prepare the caravan for departure, your hands steady despite the pull of weariness. The road calls you onward, a living thing, both friend and challenge, whispering of new stories yet to come. Before you leave, an elder approaches, a woman whose eyes shine like polished amber. She speaks softly, her voice threaded with wisdom. The road never ends, she says. It only changes its shape. Stories will come and go, but the desert keeps them safe. You nod, feeling the truth of her words settle deep within. Mounting your camel, you glance once more at the oasis, a shimmering jewel in the desert's vast crown. You turn your gaze to the horizon, where the first rays of sun ignite the sands in a blaze of gold. The journey continues. The road stretches ahead, endless and eternal. You are its keeper now, a bearer of stories, a guardian of memory, a traveller whose footsteps echo across time. And beneath the vast velvet sky, studded with countless stars, the Silk Road awaits the next chapter. With the first light, you ride onward, the stories you carry now a living flame, guiding your steps toward horizons yet unseen. Chapter 17. The Echoes of the Caravan. The sun rises, spilling molten gold over the endless dunes. The air is crisp and sharp, holding the promise of another day woven with stories yet untold. Your camel moves steadily beneath you, its footsteps marking the ancient earth with a rhythm as old as the Silk Road itself. The road stretches ahead, a ribbon of sand and stone curling through mountain passes and barren plains. Each step carries you deeper into the heart of the desert. A place where time seems to fold in upon itself, and the past breathes softly alongside the present. You think of the many faces you have met along this journey, the traders whose voices became songs, the dancers whose stories shimmered in moonlight, the elders who spoke in riddles wrapped in wisdom. Each encounter has left its mark, a thread woven into the vast tapestry you carry with you. As the caravan moves forward, a gentle breeze stirs the dust, carrying with it faint whispers, fragments of ancient conversations, laughter and tears. It is as if the desert itself remembers, holding every story told beneath its sky. In a quiet moment, you stop beside a weathered stone marker, a relic of a long-forgotten caravan route. You trace the carved symbols with your fingers, feeling the connection between those who travelled before and those who follow after. Your thoughts drift to the mirror, safely wrapped in your satchel. It no longer glimmers with stories, but its weight remains, a reminder of the sacred trust you bear. The final tale it shared is etched deep within you now, a flame kindled to light the way forward. As you ride, the horizon begins to shift. A distant mountain range rises like a fortress, jagged peaks cutting sharply against the sky. Beyond lies a city known for its markets and minarets, a place where east meets west, where cultures blend in vibrant colours and fragrant spices. The caravan slows as you approach the city gates, the bustle of merchants and travellers rising in a symphony of sound. The scents of saffron, jasmine, and fresh bread mingle in the air, drawing you into a world alive with energy and possibility. Here, amidst the clamour and colour, you feel the pulse of the Silk Road beating strongest. Stories unfold in every corner, in the chatter of bazaar stalls, the call to prayer echoing from high minarets, the laughter of children chasing through narrow alleys. You dismount, your feet touching the earth that has borne countless footsteps like your own. The city welcomes you, its ancient walls holding 1,000 tales, waiting to be heard. In this place, you know your journey as storyteller continues. For every ending births a new beginning, one that stretches onward, infinite and eternal. The mirror rests quietly in your satchel, a silent companion on the endless path. And beneath the vast, timeless sky, you carry the stories of the Silk Road, a legacy written in sand, stone, and stars. As the sun sets beyond the city walls, you find a quiet place to pause, to hold the mirror and your memories close, and to listen to the road's enduring song. Chapter 18. The Eternal Journey. The sun dips low, casting long shadows that stretch across the ancient city walls. Lanterns begin to glow softly, their light flickering like distant stars awakening in the twilight. The market's clamour fades into a gentle murmur, a lullaby sung by the night. You stand atop a high terrace, gazing out over the sprawling city, beneath a sky brushed with violet and gold. The air is rich with the scent of spices and blooming jasmine, a perfume that speaks of countless journeys and countless stories carried on the Silk Road. The mirror rests in your hands, now quiet and dark, but heavy with meaning. It has been your companion through endless deserts and bustling cities, through silence and song, memory and mystery. It has shown you not only tales of others, but the threads of your own story, woven into the vast fabric of time. You remember the faces, the voices, the moments of wonder and sorrow, the traders who shared laughter under the stars, the nomads who taught you the language of the wind, the elders who entrusted you with secrets older than empires. Each memory is a jewel in the crown of your journey. The road has been more than a path. It has been a living story, a breath between heartbeats, a river flowing through the ages. You feel the weight and the lightness of it all, the burden and the blessing of being a keeper of stories. As night deepens, a gentle breeze stirs your cloak. Somewhere far beyond the city walls, camels tread softly over cool sand, and a distant voice begins to sing, a song of travellers, of endings and beginnings, of journeys without end. You close your eyes and listen, letting the melody carry you beyond time and place. You are a thread in the endless tapestry, a spark in the eternal flame of the Silk Road. And though this chapter closes, the story will never end. For as long as the stars shine above the desert, as long as the winds whisper through the dunes, the road will call to those who listen. And you, Afshin, will walk it. Forever a traveller, forever a storyteller, forever a keeper of the infinite tales written in sand and sky. The journey continues, endless and eternal, beneath the vast velvet sky studded with countless stars. And so, the journey comes to rest, but not to an end. For stories like these, carried in the breath of wind and ink of memory, never truly finish. They live on wherever the road still stretches, wherever voices still speak, and wherever hearts still wonder. Thank you for walking this path with us. If the sands have stirred something in you, if the firelight lingers behind your eyes, consider joining us again. There are always more stories waiting beyond the next horizon. Until then, may your road be safe, your dreams vivid, and your spirit ever seeking. The Silk Road never sleeps, and neither do its stories.